water management, and particularly asking about how we are surviving the flood and what we intend to do about it. I think that's exactly your question, right? So, the Great Flood has exceeded our knowledge and planning of all previous climate catastrophes, including the 2010 super flood. We had a huge flood we thought broke all records in 2010 when the entire international community was seen in Pakistan assisting and coordinating and even doing the heavy lift on relief, rescue, then later rehabilitation and recovery operations. Right now, what we saw unfold on our part of the earth was something I don't think anybody in living memory has seen in the world. It was a triple flood, if you like, but mostly from the sky. We have never seen a monsoon turn into the kind of deluge it did. And it was relentless. It was actually 7 times more than the average in the province of Sindh, which you asked about, which remains transformed, I think, forever. Its topography has changed. It will not go back to being what it was, which is half the breadbasket of the country. And then torrential hill torrents from the north, because we have the largest glaciers in the world, largest number of glaciers outside the polar region. In the north, they burst the glacial lakes there burst their banks, or rather burst their ice. And then we had hill torrents and flash floods all combined to come down to the south along with these non-stop rains, which did not allow our helicopters to take off to rescue people, which is what happens in traditional flooding catastrophes. To rescue people, you need helicopters. So birds could not fly in this rain, whether mechanical or living. And it told us that we are in a new era of climate stress and extreme weather events where our technology has not caught up with the ways we need to save lives, and the way accelerated climate change is bringing what the UN Secretary General called the worst carnage he has seen, climate carnage, in his life, and he and UNOCHA have seen quite a lot. So 33 million affected, the number is almost the same as 3 European small-sized or medium-sized countries, and we have ourselves a situation where people are still in Sindh, which was 80% the most affected, living in shelters that are not their homes. They will not see their livelihoods come back to them for a long time, if at all. And they're quite clear that these 33 million, out of these 33 million affected, at least half are still in need. And what that means is that they're living away from homes, winter is coming, and they will not be able to farm their land. It's transformed, as I said. A lot of it is still underwater, unable to drain because it's under sea level, and has not found, because this is not the traditional flooding of the Indus River which comes in from the north, so it has not found the normal drainage channels that a river might be taking or we might be cutting through. But this time, if we cut through one side, the other side gets damaged. So the loss and the damage is huge. It's worth $30 billion just for this climate event. And $30 billion is a great deal of vulnerability to fix for one country alone, in terms of numbers, in terms of lives, and very importantly livelihoods, because that is the unpredictability and precariousness that we see in communities that have just been displaced for a very long time. And we also think that particularly in Sindh, the resilient rebuilding, the project of then looking at our old storm drains that don't work, looking at big drainage projects from like the LBOD, left bank outfall drain and the right bank, all of these are now up for consortium funding that we really cannot finance at this point. There's that. And then there's asking people, look, you can't live near the old floodplain anymore. You can't live near this small rainwater reservoir. There were some dams that were built just for storing water, not like the big old dams like Tarbela, Mangla, Sakra Barrage, not like those. But these two became risks. The small dams, or rather reservoirs, that we had started building thinking, yes, water security is our biggest problem, there will be a water famine by 2025, so let's start at least doing this. And these small dams, or small reservoirs, they were not terribly small, but they became risks for the communities living around them. They flooded, they overflowed, and they created new challenges and risks and literally shocks for the community, which had to run, and many lives were lost. As you heard, over 1,700 lives were lost. And while it was raining, nobody could rescue the people, even when we saw them on video. So it's been a very traumatic time. The helicopters just could not take off, they would just come right down again. And obviously our Navy has been operating inland with such scale that you wonder what the Pakistan Navy is doing inland of the country. It operates small boats otherwise, but this time they've had a lot to do just rescuing people. And I'd request permission to play a 3-minute video to show you the devastations that flooding could cause, simply because there are no words to describe what happens when this kind of climate fury is unleashed for unprepared communities, which is why we need to prepare, and we can talk about that after you get the video rolling. But I appreciate the condolences. Here it is. No, this is the Living in This project, which is the adaptation project we were talking about. Are you playing this one? No, I wanted to play the flood. They wanted to ask about the flood. I would love to play that one too. They're all 2 minutes each. But it's very important to us that you see what we're going through. Could we have some volume? It's a very noisy pop environment.
What I've seen today.
Here because we're facing a very existential challenge at home, and the Living in This is a great opportunity. It is an opportunity in the middle of egregious challenge. What it's doing is serving as an axis of adaptation, a river intervention recharge project, and this river cuts through the entire length of Pakistan, and as the UN representative said, 90% of Pakistan in one way or the other feeds, lives and drinks off this river. So we have also the largest man-made irrigation system in the world, but it is under stress like the river from the exigencies and impacts of climate change, as well as our own anthropogenic activities such as pollution, the degradation of the banks around it, building in the wrong places and settling in the wrong places. And of course the high populations do act as a multiplier to the crisis that is afflicting this living jugular vein, if you like, of the country. Now, we have created this project with the help of the United Nations in Pakistan across all the 4 provinces. It has the leadership and the buy-in of the entire federation, because water is fundamental to our future. It is our frontline need and climate challenge, because before the flood came, I want to respond to what the 2 ministers said about droughts. Half the country, the part, the south that is flooded right now of Sindh, was, the river was bone dry. So we were already facing desertification and extreme salinity for years. And this great raging river, which 10, 15 years ago used to nourish an entire ecosystem down the river, and not to mention being the breadbasket of the country, it had become a very tragic trickle, face of itself. So we were wondering what it is we can do, and then came the flood. So climate change is classic example: extreme flooding, extreme desertification, and droughts. One or the other, or both together. And so if you're getting both, the thing you do have to do is manage your river, which becomes the great instrument of adaptation for communities, for the country, for floodwater management, for biodiversity management, for the wetlands regeneration, also for the marine species, the thousands that live out of, including the blind dolphin, which is unique to Pakistan and the Indus River, and of course creating the nature-based solutions like the mangroves as buffers. We have one of the largest and most successful in the world regeneration program of mangroves, and I have a friend sitting here in the audience, Tariq Alexander, who works daily with the mangroves and makes is an aesthetic recorder of the growth and the nurturing he provides. So he'll be presenting at our pavilion tomorrow. I welcome you all to it. But here we have a multiple set of menus for intervention in regenerating this great river. So it's able to feed and nurture a huge population, and mostly not just manufacturing, but vulnerable communities, livestock-based communities, farming communities, all live along the length of this river, whether it's in the north, where we have a very successful glacial lake outburst flood management program with one of the UN agencies, and those are community-based interventions where a high alert is posted through, a great deal of training. So it's a successful intervention, but in the south, we were unable to save the lives we wanted to, were desperate to, because we had no plan for this kind of from-the-sky flooding. So now the river is under extreme stress. It is posing a risk to Pakistan, as well as it's an existential nurturing lifeline. We have to manage it both infrastructurally as well as at its biodiversity and its ecology and the quality of its water. And before this flooding had happened, I remember, I don't know if you remember, Julian, I made a video saying the water crisis is Pakistan's frontline climate emergency, asking people to conserve water, because, look, governing water is one thing, but also using water is one thing. These are behavior changes societies need to make, and we are one of the largest per capita users of water. We overuse our water in many communities and across the country. But having said that, now we have water everywhere, not a drop to drink, and there isn't enough clean water around, and this water is posing a hazard, the one that's standing there. It's not probably going away anytime soon, but the recharge of this river will help, and the flood management interventions are 15 in the 25 living menu that we've created. 15 of those interventions manage floods through groundwater recharge, through aquifer replenishment, through creating drainage and an architecture of natural culverts and drainages along that river. It could also feed the river to come alive again, to breathe again, and become the vital intersect at the conjoint of human security and climate change that we need to revive again. So this is a great project. I'm sorry to be pitching it here, but I need to be pitching this everywhere, because it is what will make Pakistan live again. This is the one project that can do that. But before we do that, we need to ensure that that river does not die. And right now, between our human activity as well as climate change impacts, that's what's happening. Let's hope that we can use this COP as an opportunity to leverage some buy-in. Thank you very much for this opportunity.